Hello and welcome back. Today I've got a very simple thing that you can do to improve your health that I want to talk about, and also it's something that many of us are very unconscious of. We don't realise how powerful it is, how significant an impact it's having on our lives. It's to do with the programs in our minds, the software that's been put in there frequently by other people and often by ourselves as we fill in the blanks in situations, and it's a real jumble, it's a real mess of haphazard ideas and thoughts about ourselves that just being, it's like a dustbin actually. Our minds can become like a dustbin for other people's projected issues, okay? So this is really focused on healing yourself, because frequently we're struggling with issues we want to heal, either physically, emotionally, mentally, and we're not making much progress regardless of how much effort we're putting in. It's just sort of repeating and repeating and repeating, and we get to our wit's end and we don't know what it is that's blocking it. A lot of the time we habitually self-sabotage our healing in these situations, and then we beat ourselves up. We feel a lot of guilt and shame and frustration and anger at ourselves for not following through on the things that we set out to do. So I'm going to tell you why, and I hope that you'll find something in this video that you can take from it and use today to start making very powerful positive changes in your life, with just a little bit more consciousness involved. Attention, intention. Okay, so I've said before, when you're born, you come down on the earth, you're this beautiful, pure soul, you're a blank sheet, everything about is unwritten, your little brain hasn't formed connections yet, and you're just eager and waiting to see what the world holds for you. And many children are born into wonderful, loving families, and they are well looked after, and they are much loved, much wanted. I got lovely energy there. And you know, that's perfect. That's just what a soul would wish for a newborn baby. That's just what you would wish, to be loved and cared for and cherished. And they grow up, and all their needs are being looked out for them. They feel safe, they feel secure, they have freedom of expression and freedom to grow and learn and be creative, and they would turn into a wonderfully balanced human being, you know, with the ability to achieve great things in this life. Sadly, many children are born into very dysfunctional situations, where their parents, you know, they're just too young, or they've had a hard life, they've got their own issues that they haven't resolved, and they may have the best intentions for the baby, but really they're not healed themselves to be raising another soul on this earth, and they start to project onto the child. There might be some sort of neglect. Sometimes it's physical, often it's emotional. Even tiny little babies being sort of left to cry, you know, if they're scared or whatever. It might be even in the womb you're hearing your parents argue, and that has an impact on this little brain as it's forming, and you are absorbing your environment, you're absorbing the things that are being said about you. The soul is conscious, the soul is aware. It has chosen its parents, So these souls have come down spiritually, with their spiritual eyes wide open to the situations they're entering, but the human part of us is, just blindsided by it all. And the wee babies in the womb, a lot of them, as they get near birth, they can hear, they can feel their mother's emotions. They're subjected to whatever substances their mother is eating and drinking and smoking. They can feel that if their mother is afraid, so all the hormones and things that are happening in the mother's system are felt by the baby. And I'm sure many of these wee babies are, they just don't know what's going on, and they come out screaming, and they need comforting, and they need reassurance, and they need to feel safe. And a lot of them come to the world and they just don't come into very nice situations at all. Other times, they're part of very large families. The mothers, the mothers is the one that tends to do most of the rearing of the children. She may be very stressed out. She may be on antidepressants or have health issues herself. And this wee baby just kind of gets swept along in the midst of all this going on. And people, we're all human. Nobody is perfect, and frequently wee babies might be, it's like, shut up, or just criticised, or I wish she'd never been born, and things like that. People will say something, and to them it's almost a throwaway remark, but to the child hearing it, it can really cut deep. And then as you get older and you're out in the world, and you're observing your environment and the people round about you, you might have people bullying you at school, or teachers being kind of nasty and calling you stupid, or you thinking you are stupid because you can't do your homework, or you can't read. I can remember vividly at the age of, I don't know, it'd be about 4 or 5. I was just in the first class of school. I couldn't read. I don't remember having at home anybody sit and teach me how to read. I had there were books about, I could look at the pictures, but I couldn't read. And when I went to school, I had a very firm first teacher, and she was quite scary to a little kid. And I can remember being marched up to the desk, and the reading book was there, and I was supposed to read it and looking at the words, and I didn't have a clue what they said, and being so terrified I nearly wet myself, and being sent off, with a real harsh word, and feeling so stupid, and powerless in that situation. And really, I was just a wee kid who hadn't been taught to read and needed maybe a different approach. I mean, I got there in the end, but situations like that leave a mark on you. I can still remember that to this day, how I could hardly breathe. I was so frightened of this teacher. And in those days, they did belt children every day. The different people were always being hauled out and given a big leather belt across their hands and things. And it was the world was quite a scary place to me growing up, because in those days it was all kids getting smacked by their parents and shouted at. That's how kids were raised in the East End of Glasgow. And it was sort of slightly dog-eat-dog in the world, where if you weren't a tough kid, then you would be a bullied kid. And you sort of grow up. I grew up keeping very quiet, keeping out the way. I almost made myself invisible because I didn't like confrontation. I was no use at shouting and things like that. And all these things, they're going into your infant brain, and they're putting messages in the software programming of your brain that you're stupid, or you're weak, or you're pathetic, or you're crybaby, or whatever it is. Sort of messages are being put in right there. And then as you go higher up the school, you might not be very good at some subjects, or you might meet nastier bullies, or you might be reading magazines and they have all these really skinny models in them, and you're normal sized, your legs only go up to your hips, they don't go up to your oaksters, you're just a normal human person, and you start to criticize yourself and judge yourself about how you look. If your hair's not curly, you want it curly. If it is curly, you want it straight. If you've got freckles, you don't want freckles. If you've not got freckles, you want freckles. And we just all start to tear ourselves apart in the teenage years in particular, especially if you don't feel popular, you're not able to afford the really fashionable things. It all becomes a huge deal, and this is another layer and another layer. And you go out in the world, your situation in life will have its imprint on you too. So if you come from very poor beginnings, that's how you might class yourself. I'm poor. If you go about saying I am poor, crikey, that's very powerful statement to the universe. That's you basically placing your order for the next chapter. I am poor. I better scratch that and flip it. I'm in the flow of abundance. I am not poor. Although negatives don't register in your brain, or I don't know how they work with the universe, but they definitely don't register with your brain and what you believe about yourself. So don't ever say I am not poor, say I am rich. That's a better way to say things. So you start picking up these little comments from your core family, the closest people to you initially, and even people might not say a harsh word to you, which is rare, but a lot of the times we do fill in the blanks. If a situation happens, if somebody's upset, if your parents, you frequently hear that children of divorced parents believe it's their fault that the parents are getting divorced. They take on the blame for things that are happening in their world when it's nothing to do with them. So these types of things, they're all laying down this big onion, layers and layers and layers and layers of who you believe you are. Now, I did some notes myself. So these wee blank slates start to fill up by all the people round about us, and especially if you come across another insecure person who is bluffing their way through the world, and they're jealous of you. They actually think you've got pretty hair or lovely eyes or something, but instead of complimenting you and being a friend to you, they will annihilate you in whatever way they can. They want to pull you down to their level because they don't feel worthy themselves. So you got all this going on. It's quite a war zone out there now. So we grow up, we leave home, we go out to make our way in the world, and we are completely unaware of this pages and pages of script that's in our minds at this point. And this script is running, it's like a software program. It is running and it is emitting a vibration, a frequency, beliefs. It's affecting our beliefs about ourselves, and what you believe, you act that way. If you believe you're addicted to cigarettes, then you will smoke cigarettes. If you believe that you are fat, you will eat or behave in a way a fat person does. These beliefs that run very deep, and they generate our behaviours, and they generate the way our self-talk, and they also generate, there's a reflection comes back at you, because people being very shallow and just looking at the surface individual and making judgments about you. So it's a sort of self-perpetuating problem. Now, as time passes, these beliefs and behaviours, they really become entrenched, and they start to generate physical and emotional conditions, which can really start to impact our lives in a big way. And we kind of go to war with these things. We start going on diets and buying lotions and potions for our skin, and trying to sort of go at it head on. And it's not the right way to tackle it, because the more we are against something, the more energy we're giving to it, the more we're thinking about it, the more we're believing it is so. So you actually keep recreating it by battling it. So we have to stop approaching our issues in that way. We actually have to start sort of embracing them, owning them, looking at them, loving them, forgiving them, seeing them. Take it out and look at it and start pulling it apart so that you can see where it came from. You can do this with various therapies or journaling, just sort of spending time, meditating and things like that can happen. You can reach out to your guides and start asking yourself for answers and seeing what pops into your head. You don't shy away from the difficulties in your life or the things that you feel you're failing at or the faults you think you have. Don't shy away from them and don't combat them. See them, accept them, forgive them, embrace them and love them, because they're you. These are you. You've chosen to experience these things, and you've chosen to conquer them, and they're helping you to tick all the boxes for different experiences in life. And they round out your personality, and you become a more compassionate, kind, empathic person through having walked that path. So there's a whole zoo going on in your head that's all been contributed by everyone else. The ways you might notice them, because really you have to start identifying the programming that's going on in you so that you can change it, so that you can heal it. So you would notice things like a lack of confidence. That's a big one that a lot of people have. Not feeling worthy, accepting less from the people around you. That's another very common one. If you don't feel worthy and someone's treating you badly, like, oh, that's the best I can get because I'm a bad person, or whatever it is you're running in your head, you will accept abusive behaviour from other people. If these programs are running, you will not fight your situation and try and change it. You will not think that you can change it. You might feel afraid in the world. You might feel invisible, and you will definitely not achieve your highest potential. It can put your soul journey on hold. And then the big ones are the health. When they're left to go on long enough, then the body will try and help you to address them by raising different health issues, and also you'll get emotional symptoms like anxiety and depression, stress, and feeling afraid and sad, and it's all if this stuff's going on in your life, then it's screaming at you a message that there's something that you're not processing or dealing with. You might get things like headaches, neck pain, back pain, skin issues, weight issues, depression, anxiety, autoimmune's very common for this type of thing. And you might also, if left for a long time, decades, things like cancer and heart problems, and death are the ultimate results of not dealing with these things that are lying buried in us. So how do we set about resolving this? Well, we need to just wake up to the fact that you have this inner script going on, and this inner script is actually the default setting in your life, and it's repeating itself and repeating itself and repeating itself until it can get changed. So we need to shine a big light on what's going on, and only you can change the script. So how do you identify the negative programming which is affecting you? well, you look around you into the life that you're living, it will reflect back at you your beliefs about yourself. So again, we've got, if you're always struggling with money, that's going to be a belief you've got that you don't have money, you have lack in your life. If you feel afraid, if you're in a bullying situation or an abusive situation, that's reflecting back to you that that's all you deserve. That's who you are. You're too stupid or something. If you're in a job you hate, these things are all reflecting back to you that something's not quite right. Also, if you have ongoing situations which are chipping away at your self-confidence, that are people who are very toxic, you need to distance yourself from those people, because it's like imagine you're in a boat and there's water leaking into the boat and you are bailing out the boat, and someone else is pouring buckets of water into the boat, then you're going to sink. So if you want to heal your situation, to break and fragment away all these conditions in your life that you don't choose, then you have to stop the leak. You have to get rid of the people in your life who are toxic, so that you can start, when you're bailing out the water, you plug the leak and you're bailing out as you pull out these toxic programs that are in your mind, and you look at them and stuff, and you can let them go. And as you let go this toxic programming, you will float higher and higher and higher, and your problems will start to disappear. So that's your first priority, is look around you. Are there toxic people or even toxic situations? So if you really, you have a bullying boss, again, it's people normally, it's not the situation really, but you can't heal yourself in a toxic situation, so you have to look for options, and there will be options. You might have to take a lesser job, or move to a one-room apartment or something in the short term, but in the long term you are creating a foundation for your life which will allow you to heal, and is like a springboard to move on to better things. So any situations that don't resonate with you, notice them and start to change them, as many as you can. Most people have got these sabotaging patterns in their lives. Most people have got things about themselves that they would like to change or improve. That's really what the soul's nature is. It's always seeking to improve itself. So how do we change the script? So a lot of people, they're doing all the research and you come across affirmations. And I do think that affirmations are very, very worthy. But I also think that sometimes as a first step, they can almost do more harm than good, because you're saying, I am thin and beautiful. And you're looking at yourself and there's none of this script running in your head is saying, no, you're not. You ain't thin and beautiful, You're not fit and healthy. So it comes back with a negative, and it makes it very difficult for you to persist with that. And it brings up other things that almost cement in those ideas. So we're going to reject a lot of the words of affirmations because they don't resonate with our inner scripts. So we have to start changing the inner scripts and finding softer ways of reaffirming the positive things in our lives. So we don't want to go battling this. We want to go loving it, okay? Our mind is programmed to want to keep the status quo. That's safe for us. It doesn't care if you're miserable. It's safe. So your mind is a bit of a bism, and it's going to try and block you changing things. It knows where it is with your life situation. It knows what to do with your grumpy partner, the things you need to do to keep physically alive. That's what your mind's got very basic desires. It just wants you to sort of keep physically alive and keep your children alive. It's very simple things your mind wants. It doesn't care about happiness or if you're all miserable. It doesn't care about that. So your mind is you have to win it over a little bit. We have to coax our mind into accepting new scripts. And there's lots of ways to do this. And they all come about from loving yourself, accepting yourself, forgiving yourself. Now, yes, I want you to start noticing your inner self-talk. Frequently, you spill a cup of tea, and if you listened to the way you were screaming at yourself in your mind, or even in the room, you stupid bitch, and you would be things like that. You would just be saying really harsh, very harsh things to yourself. You're so clumsy, you daft bugger. You I can't say all the things you would say. What you would say would not be repeatable on a YouTube video. We talk to ourselves in the most awful fashion, or many of us do, and you have to stop that. You have to almost pull the brakes on that utterance as the thought pops into your head or the words come out your mouth. You say, no, you're not. It's just an accident. You're a lovely person. Or you have to sort of flip it in the moment. You have to change the thought. When you look in the mirror, you pass the mirror, you see yourself and say, okay. You sort of start judging yourself. You have to stop that and go, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. You're lovely. And you start to change the way you speak about yourself. The amount of criticism, self-criticism that goes on with most of us, by the time you get to your middle years, is scary. Now we remember that how you create, how you give the energy its job is by your thoughts, your words, and your actions. So, if you're constantly saying, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're fat, you're lazy, you can't do this. If you're constantly repeating certain mantras and programmings and usually criticisms other people have put on you or beliefs you've gained about yourself from other people, that's what you're manifesting over and over and over. And we have to just cut back a lot as much as we can. Whenever we notice ourselves doing it or saying it, we have to flip it, switch it, and you say something like, scratch that, or that's not true. And then you replace it with something nice and kind. Now you recall all those experiments on, the water that were done by that little Japanese guy, I think it was, I don't remember. But you can find him, you look him up. And he did all those experiments where he took water and he either said nice things to it, loving things, or he would be criticising the water and saying horrible things, or it would be bottled with the words love or fear or whatever. And they would, I think they froze them and took pictures of how the crystals formed. And the crystals, amazingly, it's the same water from the same source. They all formed different patterns. And, many of the patterns were these beautiful, they were all in symmetry, like a kaleidoscope pictures. They were just sparkling out like different snowflakes and things. And the ones where, the negative talk and criticism, they were all unbalanced and frenetic and things. Now, if you imagine the human body is I don't know what it is, I can't give the exact figure, but it's like 90% water, and you are putting these thoughts and these words onto yourself, or you're hearing people. I frequently hear things people have said to me in the past, in a situation that someone else's voice will play in my head, and it's just like being hit with a stone. It's going in and it's vibrating through your body, and it's leaving ripples in the pond of the cells of your body. The cells of your body are reacting to the things that are playing in your head, to your own self-talk, to the words that are coming out your mouth, and to your belief system about yourself, and all this guilt and shame and fear and all these sort of negative things. So that's not going to be, that's the origins of a lot of physical illness. It just comes through, the continual drip, drip, drip effect of having negative thoughts about yourself, which may seem innocent to a lot of people. They joke, everything. Even if it's a joke, your body's hearing it as a criticism. So don't make jokes to other people. Don't joke about yourself. Oh, I'm so stupid. Don't do that. That's lowering your vibration, impacting every cell in your body, and creating conditions in yourself which you're suffering from. So you've got to stop all that self-criticism. Yes, where is that? I don't know where I got this from. I don't think you'll be able to see it. It's I think it's Abraham Hicks. I think I got it off one of the courses I was doing. It's called the Emotional Guidance Scale, and it sort of has a scale of emotions, and all the sort of high number one, all the, it starts with the highest emotions like joy, appreciation, empowerment, freedom, love, passion, enthusiasm, eagerness, happiness, positive expectations and beliefs, optimism, hopefulness, contentment. And then it kind of goes into the mid-ranges, which are things like boredom, pessimism, frustration, irritation, impatience, overwhelmment, disappointment, doubt, worry, blame, discouragement. And then the worst emotions you can have with the lowest vibration are anger, revenge, hatred, rage, jealousy, insecurity, guilt is nearly the last one on the list, unworthiness, fear, grief, depression, despair, powerlessness. Now, you can pick a few of them, and I'm sure you've felt a spectrum of those emotions. And to heal yourself, you have to try and, when you notice that, say, you're feeling angry, then you want to try and bump that feeling up to something else. You want to bump it up to frustration or impatience. You want to, or even just try and find your way to contentment, or boredom. You want to try and inch your way up the scale of these emotions to, pursue the higher emotions like joy and empowerment, and passion, enthusiasm, and happiness, optimism. These types of things they're all within your reach, and you have to sort of seek them out in order to cancel out lower emotions. And the more time you can spend in the higher emotions, then the more your body is flooded with these higher vibrations and higher thoughts. And when you're up there, you're healing the cells of your body. And when you're allowing yourself to spend a lot of time in fear or anger, or despair or grief, when you're down in these lower emotions, you will start to generate physical symptoms. It can be quite unhealthy to do that. So it's like you put on a funny movie. If you're feeling kind of depressed, then go find a movie that you can watch, or go for a walk in the sunshine, or go do something constructive. Sometimes a lot of people find any kind of physical activity can lift you out of depression. Singing, playing music, painting, doing something creative can all help as well. So you have to kind of start gauging, what emotions am I sitting in at the moment? What language am I using to myself on a regular basis? What do I believe about myself? You've got to start kind of pulling these things out, peeling back these layers of the onion that has been put on you back to the truth. You're sort of uncovering the truth. And you've got to start loving yourself and forgiving yourself and accepting yourself. So you notice when you're doing something, and let's say you wrote an essay or something and you really thought it was quite good, then you should make a big thing of that to yourself. You should say, that's blooming good. You worked hard on that essay and you typed it up lovely and it's really nice and it was on time. Well done, you. Or you cook a really nice meal or you make a cake or something and it turns out well. Praise yourself. You get your hair, you go to the hairdressers, get your hair done, and you come home and you say, that looks really nice, I really like that really suits you, it's beautiful. And you start to shift your focus from all your faults to anything at all that you can find about yourself. Oh, those shoes are beautiful. Anything, it doesn't have to be a big thing. You handled that situation really well, and that was really kind of you when you helped that woman that dropped her bag. You have to sort of start noticing the good about yourself, the good things you do, your achievements, and in a slightly over the top way, even if you're doing it silently in your mind, start praising yourself for everything that you can find to praise about yourself, okay? Start loving yourself, and keep your focus on these positive things. If you notice negative talk, catch it, stop it, flip it, scratch it, and replace it with something nice, and don't entertain it, don't give it a second thought. Then you have to start showing yourself by your actions love. Now, I have found that, I can only work from my own experience, but in a lot of my life has been spent with people who didn't show me much love. I was the one doing things for others, taking care of others, worrying about others, surprising others, buying little gifts for others, and nobody was doing that for me. And so, it just, because of my inner programming, that's all you expect. You don't expect anything. You don't feel worthy of anything. Who are you? You're nobody. So in order to address that, because it's really bad thing to believe about yourself, you have to start seeing yourself for the beautiful soul that you actually are. And if nobody else in your life, you shouldn't really be seeking external affirmations anyway. You should be doing it for yourself. And as you start to show yourself love, others will follow. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I have emerged from a very toxic situation, and I am in a relationship with myself. And instead of putting all my time, attention, energy and money that I have to spare, onto someone else, I'm putting it on myself. It sounds really bad. It's not. It's just that, I'm complimenting myself. I am cooking meals that I really enjoy, meals that are nourishing to me. I'm taking time for myself. So if I feel tired, I'm resting. If I feeling down or whatever, I will choose something to watch that cheers me up, or a book to read that carries me off somewhere else. I am being, I buy myself flowers, and every time I see the flowers I think, those are nice, that was nice, I deserve those flowers. I buy myself little knickknacks that I've put about the house. I'll show you this one. It's really nice. I bought this recently. It's a stone. It's a big sort of painted pebble with an angel on it. Sparkles. She's on my windowsill. Got this little birdie. Let's wash this little birdie. It's a little robin, because I think some of my relatives are robins now. They've come back as robins, or they fly past. I'm very drawn to little birdies. This one's tiny. I don't know if you can see it, but as I'm now free, birdies represent freedom to me. So when I have little birdies, but I got these little things. These are just little things. This, on your light switches, you put these on your light switches. So one side of the light switch you'll put the little girl, and the other side you'll put the balloon flying away. And whenever you see it, it's like, it uplifts you a little bit. It's a loving thing. It's got a little bit of humour in them. I've got these other ones. That's for my light switches. This is a funny one. Think of you, Audrey, when I see this. You know who you are. Actually, my granny used to be a housemaid and dressed exactly like that. So that's kind of funny. But I don't think she swept the rubbish under the wall. Anyway, these are the types of things you can buy yourself. Beautiful crystals. I had a nice one earlier. I was looking at they're just lovely things. They don't have to cost a lot of money, and obviously if you haven't got any money, then just go out and pick a flower, a wildflower, even herbs from your garden, and put them in a little vase. You can, do something simple like, buy a little fancy soap, or I've been buying some art that uplifts me. And so as I walk about my house and I'm switching on the lights and I'm seeing prettiness, it uplifts me. It lifts my vibration. Our little ornaments, or the fresh flowers, or the beautiful, as I sit down to eat beautiful food I've bought, I feel better about myself. I'm giving myself more time. So I'm having vitamins, and obviously buying that nice fancy water I like, that I think is very healing. And I'm sending a message to myself, and that message is, I matter. I'm okay, and I deserve to be treated well, and to have love in my life, and to be happy. And these are the messages that I am sending to myself every day by the little actions that the little touches in my world. I'm not rushing through life always about other people. Sometimes, I'm taking a moment that's all about me and nobody else. I sound really selfish, but I'm doing it and it's working beautifully. Just make sure I haven't missed any things. So simple things are taking your time with your food, making a wee ceremony about how you eat your food. I have a lovely little cafetiere, and I make a really nice oolong tea in that, and I take my time over it, and it just makes a simple meal something calming and more special. You can have special dishes, fancy wee cup that you like, or nice plates, or big ice cream glasses and things, little tiny things. They don't have to be big things. You can get them in charity shops. You can go buy yourself something to wear if you've no money, out a charity shop, or you can make something for yourself in a creative way that doesn't necessarily have to cost a lot of money. You need little reminders. It's like you're putting these little reminders about yourself that you count, and taking trouble about things. And you're praising yourself and noticing where you've done well. You're distancing yourself from all the bad influences in your life. You're sealing up the leak so that they're gone. Now I want you to imagine that you are yourself as a little child. And how would you speak to them? How would you have wished to have been spoken to when you were a little child? You would want to feel safe and loved and heard. You'd want to play and have fun and to laugh. That's how you're going to treat yourself from now on. You're going to just be everything that you should have had when you were a little child to yourself. You're going to be forgiving. If you're a little child's trying to learn to read a bike or swim or something, you're not going to be screaming at it. You're going to be, that's okay, it takes time. Just be like that with yourself. Be forgiving and patient and loving, and soothing and calming, and all the nice things. The other night I was sitting I was working on this article in my mind about what it was I wanted to say, and I was just sitting alone. It was quiet in the house, and I put my hand over my heart, and I just started to say over and over again to myself, I love you. I even know it has a powerful impact. If you say to yourself, I love you, and you repeat that, what I noticed was I started to feel physical changes in my body. I started to feel warmth and tingles. I felt emotional. I felt like crying, and I felt things bubble up. I can feel it now. It's really beautiful. It's really hard to do actually, because there's a resistance to saying I love you to yourself. Try a minute or two of saying I love you every day. I think would have powerful effect upon you. It's very healing. And you can also say, I forgive you. And you can think about situations in your life, or you can just say it in general, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. And it has a powerful impact as well. I think I love you has the most powerful impact that I've felt, when I'm doing these things. And you can go intuitively when you're doing that. You can hug yourself, or touch your heart, or hold your hand, or if you have some part of your body where you're having problems like your throat or something, you can put your hand over that and you can say I love you, I love you, I love you, and you can say it in different ways, different loudnesses. You will notice it's having an impact on you. It's very, 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 very powerful, and you need to try that one if you try nothing else I say today. Also, I think it's Jeffrey Allen, I did a course, I haven't finished it, called Duality with Jeffrey Allen. It's a brilliant course. It's just got so much content that it's slightly off-putting. Sometimes you think I haven't got time to do that, to give that the attention it requires, that next module or something. But in one of his modules, he was focusing on how you can talk to the cells of your body. So say you hurt your toe, you can put your attention and your focus and your consciousness at the toe, at your own toe, and you can be right in there imagining yourself actually in there with the cells, and you can be putting healing into your toe, and you can be talking to the cells, saying simple things like I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and you're going to be healed now, and that's it, the bleeding is stopped. Or you can be giving instructions, you can be turning up your metabolism, you can be going to your thyroid and sending it healing, you can be doing major healing work on your body with consistency. I think a one-time visit isn't going to do it. I had this funny, horrible rash on my elbow, okay? It's on my elbow. And I've been working on healing it for so long. I mean, it's over 2 years now. And I think it comes from not feeling comfortable in your own skin. I think it was one of the signals my body was sending me, because I've never had things like that before. And it was at first I battled it. I put every lotion and potion and cream and all kinds of chemicals and prescription things on it. Wouldn't go away. Grew and grew and grew, and I really despaired with it. And then I just stopped, and I started this approach, this Jeffrey Allen approach. I think I was like putting my hand over it, saying I'm sorry, whatever it is I've done. I've helped to create this, and I'm sorry, and I love you, and asking it for guidance. And I started using things like aloe vera juice on it, or apple cider vinegar is very healing to skin conditions, and things like beeswax and honey and things like this. If you start going more, but really the best thing for skin conditions, apart from keeping wet ones dry and dry ones moist, it's to leave them alone, because your skin will, in fact, is covered in microbiome. If you stop messing about with it, the microbiome will sort itself out, with a little peace and quiet, and a little love shown it. So I switched to working on more spiritual healing with this, and it's 95% gone. It's well on the way to healing, And every morning I get up, it's one of the things I'm focusing on about myself at the moment, and I will pat my wee arm and I'll be saying, you're healing beautiful. You know, you look so good. Look how beautiful you look today, and look at that. That looks practically normal there. And you know, and I'll be talking to this part of my body, and loving it up big time. And that's what you need to start doing. You need to, if you have little issues or parts of yourself, even things like your pancreas or your liver, or your, you know, if you're having heart issues, or you know, you just start. You know, like I say, you're open to things, and you're open to looking at your life with new fresh eyes, and loving and forgiving and patience, and playing about a little bit too. It doesn't have to be a big, heavy, serious thing. It's just being kind and loving and forgiving to yourself. And as you start to do this more and more, physical issues, I think I've noticed emotional issues actually going first. I have found myself really happy, you know, for the first time in years, really positive, really optimistic. I'm up there in the high scales, and I wasn't before. So, you know, I've been trying this loving thing, and it's affecting me and how I feel in my life. The physical side of me is is slower, which makes sense because the vibration's lower, and it takes a little bit of time. As I've said before, sometimes things can already be healed, you know, in the sort of spiritual planes, and that has to filter down into the physical. So, you know, I see it's done. I see myself as healed fully, fully fit and healthy, and vibrant, you know, feeling full of life and energy. I see all of that for myself. It's a done deal. I just need my wee body to catch up, and it's okay. It's had a hard life, my wee body, so it's going to take its time. That's fine. Now, many of you will have heard of the, I'm going to say this wrong probably, Ho'oponopono sort of thing you can say to yourself, and that's I might have this in the wrong way around, but basically it's like saying to yourself and to other people, and mentally, you don't have to go about like a weirdo, you know, frightening the people in your life. But basically, I send thoughts to people quite a lot, and I think it goes, please forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you, I love you, something like that. You can Google it, or sometimes I mix it up a bit with I love you and then thank you. But please forgive me. You know, so you're saying, I would be saying that to my elbow, please forgive me for whatever I didn't listen to, you know. Whatever it was I did that created you, please forgive me. I am sorry. I love you. Thank you. And if you repeat that, you know, a number of times, you can feel the vibration. I feel the vibration of these words going through me as I'm speaking right now. I can feel them vibrating through me. It's like a magic spell. Now, if you can do that in relationships with people, you know, sometimes you're having a troubled teenager or something, and you're saying in your mind to them, and you're meaning it, you're sending the intention of it, please forgive me, I'm sorry, I love you, thank you. You know, and you're sending this kind of this little mantra to them about, you know, this dissonance in your relationship or the troubles they're going through. It's very healing to that relationship. It can be very healing, you know, to the world in general, to the earth. You can be saying it to Mother Earth. But mostly I think you should say it to yourself, because the more we can raise our vibration, that's one of our main purposes, to overcome you know, the things that we've encountered along our journey, to overcome these, and to rise above things like this, and to become the full glory of who we are. So love yourself, you know, first. Actually, it sounds bad. It goes really against the grain. Obviously, love your children and your family and the world and the earth, but love yourself, because you're people too. Okay, I think that's the most of it. I want to try the I love you exercise if you do nothing else today, and try thinking about this emotional scale It's from the book Ask and It Is Given. I'll have to look that up. I'm sure I've read it. It sounds very familiar. If I haven't read it, I've watched something about it. But these thoughts and the way we speak to ourselves and the way we treat ourselves in life and how we're always beating ourselves up, that has to stop. That is the root cause. I've found people, other worthy, wise people who I'm always following and learning from, have seen amazing results when people start to just simply love themselves and forgive themselves, and be patient with themselves. You will find so many little conditions disappear, and the sort of a joy of living will return to you, happiness. And then, watch out, world, because when we're all firing in all cylinders, we're going to be formidable. So let's get ourselves to our best and highest state, so that we're ready for the next chapters in our journeys. But it's very important that we recognise who we are, and we love ourselves, and we forgive ourselves for whatever's happened to us on our journeys, and we start treating ourselves, as we would that little child. Okay, right, I'm going to leave you with that. There's quite a lot in that one, and I'll be back very soon. I've got a lot of different ideas I want to speak to you about, but hopefully you get some benefit. I'd love to hear if any of that's helped you, if you've felt any of these things, if you've tried any of these exercises. And I want to thank everyone who's supporting the channel with your likes and your comments and your shares. And I want to thank all my subscribers. I really value each and every one of you. And together we're on a journey to amazing things. Okay, I hope you found that helpful, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. God bless.